I noticed we both have scientific shirts on. You have NASA, and I have Dark Side of the Moon. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing, yeah. Well, welcome to this week's Sports Wrap. It's February, I think, George.
Super Bowl week, Tim.
It's Super Bowl week, and we're going to have a nice, chilly day on Sunday to be able to rub our hands together and put it close to the TV, because I think I saw today that we're supposed to have a high of -13 on Super Bowl Sunday. So,
Oh no, I plan on having my fireplace hot and toked, and we're going to have just good steaming bowls of stew or soup or something, and sit down. I think that this is going to be a fun weekend.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. And so let's go back and
Okay.
let's talk about Gopher men's basketball to start off with.
Sure.
They were on the road.
They
So
were.
you would think that meant that they were going to play poorly. And for the first half, they proved everybody wrong. They shot the ball well. They played defense. Carr hadn't scored a point, and they were still ahead at halftime. Everything was going perfectly. And then they went to the locker room. And then the Gophers that we've known to hate, to despise, to whatever over the past 2 months, they showed back up. And here they came, and they couldn't throw it in the ocean, and they couldn't defend wow.
Well, there's some indication. I'm not sure just how well the team is playing together. Down in Iowa, Carr had 25 points, not one assist. The other thing is that now they define themselves, I guess, and they're talking in the paper today, what's their offensive identity? Well, apparently it's toss it in, and if their big guys surrounded, they toss it out and fire it up. And I know Carr can go to the bucket. I've seen him do it time and time and time again, and I have no idea why they're not. But offensively, they're just not hitting their shots, Tim. And and this is happening all season long.
I agree. They talked about shooting the most threes and having the worst shooting percentage. I think that was something that was discussed last week or the week before. It's probably still true. The philosophy of going inside when you got a 7-footer and they collapse on him and he finds the open 3-point shooter is it's a great idea.
It is.
But when you're shooting,
we practice that play all the time. Kick it out.
And to me, George, I've said this many times on this show. It feels like, how can you be playing Division I college basketball and you shoot 3-pointers and you're open. You're not under duress. You've got your feet set. You're not off balance. And you don't hit the inside part of the rim. More of the basketball hits the outside of the rim than hits inside of the rim. I don't understand how they've been playing basketball.
Half, yeah, you would think accidentally it'd pop up there once in a while, but what were they, 3 of 17 the second half?
I quit watching, George. I couldn't do it. I was horrified.
Yeah, it was tough to watch.
I mean, you would have to me, unless you had a kid playing in that game or you were cheering for Purdue, if you watch that son of a gun to the end, you're a better person than I am, because
I've got
other things I can watch, and I am not going to subject myself to that kind of agony.
It's a good game to pace to, and periodically yell out, "Don't take that shot." But they were, again, ordinarily they don't force their shots; they just miss them, and they at the end they were forcing them. They were just relying totally on that 3, and of course then Robbins gets into trouble. He had 15 points and 7 rebounds, but I'm not quite sure offensively if the Gophers know who they are.
Booth Gotch got sat down, didn't start the game on against Purdue. A little bit of a wake-up call. He didn't score a point in the game. That's not a good sign for this team. It's
no.
It's going to get scary.
No, It just is. But
And this is supposed to be the easy part of their schedule, everybody. Remember that.
well, and they're coming back into the hard part again. They have several games. They go to Piscataway, New Jersey. I say bring it up Piscataway instead of Rutgers because I just love saying Piscataway. And and so they'll go to New Jersey and we'll see how they'll do there. They're looking for that lone road victory. I know they're far and few between, but somewhere along the line, I think if they're going to get into the big show, they have to go over this hump, and maybe Rutgers is the place to do it.
Right now, I saw someplace on my Twitter feed or something during the week that the Gophers, right now, if they started the NCAA tournament today, would be a number 7 seed.
There you go.
So to me, they got lots of wiggle room as long as they, win the ones at home and lose the ones on the road. Heck, they're in. So, and then anything can happen because, well, no, nothing will happen because they can't win away from Williams. And yeah, anyway, let's move on to the women's basketball team. They got a nice win in Purdue, and
They did.
and then they played Iowa, and Iowa
That didn't go so hot.
Iowa smacked them around a little. But hey, that's Big Ten basketball. Things are going to happen. But the Gopher women won 3 in a row. That's a good sign.
Well, it is, and Lindsay Whalen seems to be yanking their chain a little bit and getting them rolling, and it's a tough league to play in, and Whalen knows this. So whatever's happening there, and she's young and enthusiastic. I think she's still going to be a great coach. And they go to Columbus this weekend.
Yeah, they'll have their hands
Sunday night against Columbus and Ohio State, of course, and we'll see what happens there. But some of the girls, they got to consistently have I think 2 kids, one inside and one outside to do well, and at some games they have that.
Yeah, I agree. It'll be an up and down battle. I think the entire year. Let's move on to wrestling. Right in your wheelhouse.
Oh, I'm telling you, they wrestled. Let me see.
You get to say your city again.
Results right here.
They wrestled
the
where?
Results.
Where did they wrestle at on Sunday? Where?
Piscataway. Isn't that a great name? It's Nacogdoches, Texas, or Chattanooga, Tennessee, or Albuquerque. I've stayed in all those towns simply because their names are so much fun to say. So, in Piscataway, they went down and they Rutgers has a pretty good team, and that didn't surprise me at all. And they beat Rutgers 21-18, and then they kind of hammered Purdue 32-4. So the team really wrestled well, and I think that my friend Boo split.
Okay.
Boo Drayden. He's a senior. He's from Oklahoma. I have no idea what he's doing up in the Northwoods, but here he is, and he's the 6-footer, 133-pounder. He's about the same diameter as your leg.
Yeah, that's
no. And where the heck are they going? They're going somewhere this weekend too. I had it out here somewhere.
I found it interesting that they wrestled at 10 o'clock our time on Sunday morning for this triple, triangular that they had with Rutgers and Purdue, and then they rushed it so that they could get out of New Jersey before the snowstorm hit.
Yeah. No, I remember one time I was traveling. I happened to be flying from Boston to New York. This is during my merchant seaman days, and in come the Harvard wrestling team, and these guys were going down to, I don't know, somewhere down there for wrestling, and they come through, and I recognized the heavyweight because he wasn't in my senior year, the state champion in Minnesota, and I looked at him. His face was so beat up. He was so smacked around, and he went to Harvard. So I thought, maybe it was best I went to see. It worked out.
There you go. It worked out.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, there's some great people out there. But I'm not quite sure when the Big Ten, but the NCAAs are going to be in St. Louis, and by the time that rolls around, we'll have a pretty good idea who the top 10 people are. Right now, the best wrestler I have seen this year is Spencer Lee from Iowa. The guy is just incredible. And
I was hoping you were going to say Gable Stevenson is the best wrestler.
I'm telling you right now.
Is he number 2?
I would if that were the case. Spencer Lee is one of the finest wrestlers I've ever seen. And I don't want to take anything away from Gable. That wouldn't be right. Besides, he might get mad at me.
I enjoyed watching Iowa and Illinois on Sunday morning. It started like at 11 o'clock, and I enjoyed it. It was good stuff. There was some competitiveness there. That scares me, considering that the Gophers got beat 9 out of 10 matches earlier. What does that say about Illinois? But yeah, we'll see what happens there.
No, I'll tell you, there is nothing like a Big Ten team duel to sparkle up, because these kids are down there. They're looking for places for the Big Ten and looking for places in the NCAA's. They're going all out this time of year.
I see the Gopher men's hockey team went to Ohio State 1-2, and miraculously they moved up from 4-2. I didn't realize Ohio State was such a bitter rival, but apparently the Gopher faithful have some following out there amongst the voters and whatever else. So,
well, that was young Mr. Jelly was their goaltender there for several years.
Yes, he was.
I realized prior to that, I wasn't quite sure Ohio State had a hockey team, but they do, and they are. In the old days, you'd go into their arena. It kind of reminded you a little bit of Greenway's Snake Pit. No, Ohio State has a long, proud tradition of hockey.
UMD hockey gets a sweep over Miami, and in the quirk of the schedule, that a couple weeks ago they had some COVID issues. They get to play Miami at UMD this weekend, and I found out today via email that I will not get to go watch the Bulldogs play in person this year. They informed me that I can either make a donation to the school, I can roll over my money for next year, or I can get a refund. And I'm like, that doesn't make me happy, doggone it. I was hoping. But I understand why, and we'll just have to wait till next year.
And let me guess, you decided to roll over to next year.
Bingo. That is exactly what we.
That comes in those. Before we leave Gophers, I want to talk about women's volleyball.
Oh yes,
they have an excellent team, Tim, and they have a couple of freshmen that come in that were Big Ten Freshmen of the Week. And they are 4-0, and they are crunching people right and left. I take a look at those outside hitters. I mean, I'd hate to be underneath that ball. Yeah. They're incredible athletes. They really are.
Well, you realize Minnesota had the #1 recruiting class last year. We talk about Alabama getting the #1 recruiting class in football, and whoever gets the #1 recruiting class in whatever sport. Minnesota's been pretty good, and they had the #1 recruiting class. And these freshmen that he has brought in, Hugh McCutcheon has brought in.
Taylor Landfair is one of the freshmen, and Melanie Staffmaster is the other. And I saw some pictures of them, and I thought, oh, these are fully grown women, and they look like they can really put the SWAT to it.
Well, the scary part is the setter. Okay, the setter. She's like 6'1" or 6'2".
I know.
So all of a sudden, she gets up by the net, and you have to say, is she really going to set it, or is she going to hit it, because she doesn't have far to reach up to put it over the 7'4" net. So they could be dangerous. I think they're ranked like 7 in the nation. And
7th in the nation right now. Yeah.
Just stay right there. Just keep being consistent. They haven't lost a set yet.
No.
And I think it would be okay if they did. And of course, #1 in the nation is Wisconsin. And then what did I look at last week when I watched a little volleyball? I think the Big Ten has 8 out of the top 25 teams in
very, very strong volleyball program.
In wrestling, I think they had 10 and
they're
I think
really strong there too. Yeah.
So,
Big Ten sports is really pretty amazing. Anyway, volleyball goes to Purdue this weekend for a pair on Saturday and Sunday, and like one game is 8 o'clock at night, and like you say, the other one is 11 the next morning or something. But
you got to do what you can do for TV, right? I mean, that's what it's all about now. Try to get exposed and shown on TV. So
Well,
that's why we're watching. That's why we're getting these sports at odd times of the day. And for a sports freak, that works out pretty well.
Oh, this last weekend, we watched my grandson on Squirts on TV, all streamed, and watched him able to play 3 different games. And in fact, they streamed the other one, the younger one, his practices, so you can see what's going on. It's
Well, now it's getting a little crazy because
amazing.
I don't know if I want to watch practice. I mean, one of the things I wanted to do was go to Mankato and watch the Vikings practice. Well, I had it in my mind it was going to be like back in the 60s and 70s where all these old football coaches told me, you get right down there and there you are with Matt Blair. And you're right there. Well, I went to Mankato and I had to sit in the bleachers and they practiced. They had the football field there and then they all practiced on the opposite side. There was nobody on the football field. Everybody practiced away. So you couldn't even be like within 80 yards of them. And then right at the end of practice, they came out and they scrimmaged a little bit, kind of thud type of thing. They actually did that on the field so you could actually see. I was like, I'll never, ever waste my time ever going to a professional practice ever again. And of course, it's only gotten worse now because, you really got to be careful. So, whatever.
Well, and I gotta tell you, and this is something to make you envious. We would go to watch the Vikings in Bemidji, and Bemidji, the stadium and the field you were right there.
Yeah.
And I got a chance to
Good
meet
old days.
Tommy Mason, and we went down there. This is right when they traded Frank Huso to Oakland. But we kind of had an in because Frank knew all of us.
Right.
It was a highlight of my high school was spending the day with the Vikings down there.
Sure.
It was great.
You want to talk Timberwolves next?
We can go do some Timberwolves.
Very briefly.
Yes.
They got a win against Cleveland. They got a loss against Cleveland. And
Yes.
Cat is back with the team. That's good news as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it is, and they're going to get better. I guess Towns is traveling, but I'm not sure he's playing yet.
No, not yet. No.
No, but he's going around, and they're coming around. I ask answer me this: is I'm seeing a lot of negative vibes about my friend Ricky Rubio. Is
You want to call him your friend? Are you sure?
well, yeah. I mean, he's out there bouncing around, dribbling the ball, looking for holes. I mean,
He looks exactly like when they traded him away 5 years or 4 years or 7, whatever.
because he
number of years
couldn't
ago.
shoot.
He looks exactly the same. There's this one game every 2 weeks where he looks like the next Magic Johnson. He scores, he passes, he creates, he throws it through his ear, and everything looks good. And then there's 5 other games where he looks like me playing basketball. And that ain't good right now, folks, because I couldn't, So, no, Rubio, the way he played in Utah, and now Utah had an 11-game winning streak, he's probably like, I want to go back to Phoenix. I want to go back to Utah. Get me out of here. We don't, whatever. So he's probably pouting in his proverbial beer. And
Well, I'm hoping he pulls it together. I mean, I watched him play the other night, and they were against Cleveland, and they were winning, and looked like they were having a little bit of fun, and
winning's fun, isn't it?
well, it is when you win.
This isn't going out there and screwing around. Winning makes it way more fun than just screwing around. I like
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah.
Took me a long time to get that one down, but I've noticed that.
Let's move on to the Wild.
Yes.
Wild had same kind of week, kind of up and down a little bit. Maybe some good, more good than bad.
Well, them and the Avalanche really banged together last night, and Avi got the Avalanche got up 2 goals, and they were never able to catch up after that. It's
I would say the thought when I got done with my hockey game on the radio last night was, well, they're down 2-1 And how bad is it going to get? Because they're going to come out in the third period and they're behind. And yes, I know they've been coming back, but against Colorado, it always seems like they just fold up like a tent. And last night they didn't fold up like a tent. Matter of fact,
No.
I got home and I watched probably the last 10 minutes. By the time I got myself settled and got things done and talked to Eli and everything else, there's about 10 minutes left. And that might have been, the last 10 minutes might have been the most exciting hockey I've watched in a long time with the Wild, because it was up and down. They were wide open. The goaltenders played very, very well. It was a good game. It was a 2-1 game. A lot of times 2-1 games are snorers. I thought the game was kind of wide open, and there were chances and people given the business, because it's the third time in a row they played, and they get to play 4 times in a row. So
Four times.
we'll see what happens. But to me, I can handle losing if I can watch a product where it looks like they actually give a rip what's going on. They got a couple injuries with Dumba, Fiala out because he should be back tomorrow night or Thursday night with the suspension, the 3-game suspension. I believe he'll be back for his boarding hit from behind, checking from behind, whatever they called it.
Yeah, that was a nasty check. I saw it, and that's the one hit that can paralyze or kill somebody on that whole ice. But that's
Fiala, got signed because he could score. He's only got 1 goal through the first 7 or 8 games, I think it was, and I think it was a little bit of frustration. Things aren't going your way, and all of a sudden you decide to take a little of your frustration out. And I think the penalty, the 3 games was about right. And, we'll see what happens. But, I don't have big expectations. I told everybody that, I think, before the season started. I don't have expectations for this team about them being the Stanley Cup champions. But at the same time, I don't expect them to be the worst team in the league. And even if they are the worst team in the league, I can handle watching them, cheering for them the way they played in the third period last night. So to me, that's everything. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, they really went after it in the third period. In fact, they started going after it in the middle of the second, and when they scored and they were ready, they were in the game. They just kind of. I'm wondering how they're going to take a look at this tomorrow night when they play their 4th game. It should be kind of interesting to see how they come out, especially that first period, because first period in hockey, like all sports, means a lot.
Yeah,
And
it's the tone.
Yeah, it does. They always said in wrestling, he who gets the first takedown's about 75% chance of winning the match.
That makes sense to me.
I suspect that that's probably pretty close to true.
Well, I suspect you had a little excited last night or this morning when you read the paper that Nelson Cruz, that your boy
It was
Nelson.
the first thing. I got to the paper early this morning too, a little after 7, and I flipped it up because I was really worried about Nelson Cruz being gone. In case people are wondering why I'm cheering, because nobody knew if the National League was going to pick up the designated hitter. I'm still not sure if they know.
Oh.
And, and so all of a sudden there's all those teams looking for a designated hitter. And if I were to find a designated hitter out there, he'd do for my team. Anyway, he's back for his $10 million one-year contract. And I'm pleased.
Yeah, I'm pleased too. I actually think I saw a tweet last night as I was scrolling through my phone, watching the Wild, trying to get scores and see what had happened in the world, and all of a sudden this comes popping up onto my thing, and I'm like, I retweeted it back out immediately, saying, "My goodness, this is a good thing." So
no, you take a look at and just a comment, because I don't want to get too excited about baseball. We still, but they have really kind of tied it tight, a little bit tighter with the glove, defensively. And they still have some pretty good hitting power. The key issue probably is pitching, of course. But I think they have a nice, promising team coming up.
There's discussions that they still need to go out and find a starter, which interested me because, like you said, they kind of shored up those other things. having one more starter, I think would put them with a very good chance to do some positive things. But the owners are already balking. They want to shorten the season, push it back a week, start playing double headers, widen the playoffs, and they're thinking big bucks.
Well,
And I
yeah.
heard the word shutdown for 2022, and I went,
Oh,
if baseball does this, if they can't come together with all the money that's out there, if they can't find a way to agree, we will never talk baseball ever again.
no,
I can't.
I
even
know
believe
that. No, and you know, and they've come close to committing suicide before. And it's you right now they're filling the stands, they're making money. We got a population that's coming out of a pandemic. They can't wait to get to a ball game, and when they open that up, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to go.
Yeah. You want to talk Wayne Terwilliger while we're here in the baseball world, or you want to leave that for the end?
No, go ahead.
Twiggy passed away yesterday
Yes.
Monday at the age of 95 or something.
95.
Like that.
He always looked to be, he was at least 80.
You know, it just seemed like a rite of passage that when you looked out on the Twins field when they were out there playing, when they were out there hitting, that Twiggy was going to be out there, and he just, I don't know, he was like a grandpa figure to those Twins players. And
Well, I used to watch him with the skinny bat hitting flies out to this guy.
Yeah.
And so he'd sit down there with that little bat, and I often thought, geez, if you can hit so well with that little bat, why doesn't everybody use them?
There you go. Yeah. So
I could never hit that well.
But he lived a good life. He got to do lots of good things.
Yes.
You want to talk Patrick Reed for any length of time?
I don't know how much trouble is he in.
Well, okay. So Patrick Reed already, we all know that he's already made his bed, and he's said some bad things and did some things, and he's very unpopular. Okay, let's just say that without whatever. So I didn't really watch what happened, but of course, Twitter world verse exploded with what happened on Saturday, and what he did was legal and what he didn't do was legal. So it just so happened as I'm flipping through the channels on Sunday, they come onto the Golf Channel at noon, and they're talking about this. There's no music. They're talking about it like it's a funeral. I mean, like somebody died. And I'm like, where are they going with this? So, of course, they allowed Patrick to give his 2 cents worth, and they watched it, and they talked about it, and then they panned the camera over, and I don't even know what the guy's name is. I should know it. And he just kind of went, BS, that's baloney. That
wasn't Nance, was it?
No, this was on the Golf Channel, and when they talked about it, he threw Reed under the bus.
He did.
He basically said he's lying. He is not telling the truth. That ball no way could have embedded. He went in there and pushed the ball in when he picked it up, and then he palmed the ball and all the rest of the stuff. And I'm just like, leave it to Golf just simplified their rules to make this a whole lot easier, and then they've got these controversies and
well, I mean, if he's to pick up the ball, should not a referee have seen him do it? Should not
before he picked up that ball
to touch that ball at all? A referee better have some kind of idea why.
And it says in the rules, in the rule book, you don't have to have a rules official there to pick up the ball as long as you talk to your playing partners. Okay. Well, they're like 50 yards away, 40 yards away, whatever they are. And he goes over there and reaches down into the grass and picks up a ball that nobody can see because the rough is so thick and lush you can't see it, and then brings the rule official over afterwards. So he didn't break the rule book, but he broke the unwritten rules, which, of course, there's all kinds of those in sports. And Patrick Reed is that's kind of a swear word now in golf. And so he can golf, but he always seems when he is winning, it's surrounded by controversy.
Well, and he did win the tournament.
He did win the tournament.
Yes,
he did. So,
but
he won by 5 shots. So by saving 1 or 2 shots, who knows?
Who knows?
Anyway, before we talk football, I'll talk Broncos. Is that okay?
Yes, I can hardly wait. There's some questions I have for you.
So let's start with boys hockey because they're on the top of the list here.
Sure.
Boys hockey lost at Virginia 7-1 last Thursday, and
Yeah.
then won last night. 6-1 over Lake of the Woods. Lake of the Woods scored first in that game. And matter of fact, it was their first goal of the year in 4 games. It was their first goal of the year. And then the Broncos kind of, we talked about this on the radio, Mike and I, that, they first 10 minutes of the game, they kind of looked disinterested, like, yeah, we'll just win this hockey game. And then they got scored on and they kind of had to wake up and kind of got kicked in the pants, so to speak. And then they turned it on and played like they were supposed to with a 6-1 win. So 4-2 are the Broncos at this point. So not bad. They get Greenway on Thursday night, and we'll see how things go after they beat the Raiders down in the Snake Pit a couple weeks ago. We'll see what comes back with the.
Listen, I want to congratulate you and Bolstead for your show that you did with Ron Beck and Mike Surdich.
Oh, the interview. Sure.
Yeah, and and it's one of the. I mean, they're bulldogs. You
Yeah.
can just by looking at them, it's in their face.
Yeah.
I was Sue says, "What are you laughing at? Listen to this." And of course, Bolstead, he does such a good job. He was interacting with them as only hockey players can.
I told him before
that.
he started. I don't want to be in this interview. I want to let you guys do it. I wanted to listen.
Smart.
So he kind of looked at me like, well, no, you get involved. I'm like, no, you guys stay there and do it. And then he involved me anyway after I told him I didn't want to. But it would have been nice if we'd have had like 20 minutes to
Yes.
banter about things and whatever. But Mike had a great idea. And the scary part about that whole thing was when he told me that Ronnie Beck was coming up to talk in between the first and second period, and he said Mike Surdich, it didn't even click in my head that the Mike Surdich, the head coach from UMD, I was so focused on getting ready for the game and whatever else that it never even registered. Well, then when he walked up, I'm like, that Mike Surdich, click, 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 click. It all made sense. So, and of course, he immediately says to me, do you know Kevin Ringhofer? And I said, well, Kevin's my cousin. He says, well, we used to play softball together back when we were going to UMD. And I'm like, it all makes sense now. So, yeah.
Well, we knew Mike and Ronnie Beck back in the UMD days because Renegades that they are, both football and hockey, they spend time together socializing. And so we socialize from time to time.
Occasionally.
Great socializers.
Absolutely. So yeah, it was a good interview.
It was a
I wish
great
we
interview.
had more time. It would have
Yes.
been much more
Yes.
worth the while. Girls basketball goes to Greenway last week, loses by a bucket, and then Monday night, I don't know if you watched it on Channel 7 or not, but I did. 56-55 loss. This Jankala girl from Evelyn, she's not only averaging a double-double, but she's had a double-double in every game, rebounds
Wow.
and points. And matter of fact, she had 43 points and 21 rebounds in a game earlier this year. And she shot 21 for 25.
Whoa.
George, think about that.
What year is she?
She's a senior. I believe she's a senior. So Broncos,
Maybe they can hold her back.
Broncos 2 losses by a combined total of 3 points. Tough week. Girls hockey lost at Evelyn Gilbert, lost at North Shore, and lost at Proctor last night. And of course, the big news coming out of the game last night was that Proctor Hermantown pretty much kept pouring it on the entire game. They ended up with 107 shots on goal, and Naomi Caradice stopped 97 of those shots. Naomi, I'm going to look right in the camera. Holy cow, what a night. Wow was what I put on the Facebook and Twitter world last night. 97 saves is an incredible number. And the lady, I believe from Channel 6 and 3, she said she was at the game, and she said she was the highlight of the whole game. She was playing that well. So 97 saves, easily the school record there. And I hope for Naomi's sake she doesn't come close to that number ever again.
What an effort. That's a Bronco effort right there.
That is. Boys
Yes.
basketball, nice win over MIB on Friday night.
Yeah.
80-76 was the final. Knew they were going to have their hands full keeping Zubich in check. I think they did a pretty good job overall and got a win. And then they beat Little Fork Big Falls on Tuesday night, 77-47. So the Broncos sit at 4-2 on the season. And I should have mentioned that the girls basketball were 1-4 and girls hockey is 0-5. As long as we're mentioning records, I should be equal to everybody. And then
Sure.
The boys swimming and diving team, I believe, got to 2-2 last night. I can't get any results on whether they beat Chisholm. I believe they beat Chisholm, and they lost to Duluth East, Duluth Denfeld, who are combined together as one team.
So Duluth has one team.
As one boys swimming and diving team. Yeah. Same thing like with Virginia and Evelyn. Now, of course, they're going to be one next year, but they're one this year, and the Broncos actually swim against them next Tuesday against Rockridge. So we'll see what happens there. The Broncos, it's been a fun winter season so far. It's not only fun to have sports back, but it's been fun to watch the kids and watching them get better.
Oh, it's good for the kids. I mean, I know some of these kids, they have to have sports. That's just, that's kind of the way it is.
Absolutely. Let's
Yeah.
move to football. And I first got to start talking about the big trade from this past week.
Isn't that something?
Are you,
That's a win-win, Tim. That's a win-win.
how is Matthew Stafford worth that much more than Jared Goff?
I don't know about that.
That's the only part. I mean, both quarterbacks maybe needed a change of scenery. Goff, geez Louise, what does the guy got to do to? He wasn't he the number 2 pick behind Wentz a couple years ago? Isn't that how it worked? Or one he was 1 and Wentz was 2.
You're not done with him. We're not done with him.
I'm confused, but maybe there's other stuff going on behind the scenes. But Los Angeles had to look at it and say, look, we can get a pretty good quarterback, and we're going to have to give up Detroit, excuse me, is looking at this. We can get a pretty good quarterback in Goff, and then we can get 2 first rounds and a 3rd round, I think it was.
Yes.
That's insane.
It is, and those are pretty good. And that's the price they're going to have to pay. But I think Goff's is still got a lot of quarterback. I mean, he's young.
He's
And-
young.
And, and he's been dinged up a little bit, but,
What quarterback really doesn't get dinged up a little bit?
little bit.
I thought it was a little one-sided. I think probably good for both quarterbacks, probably good for both teams, and we'll see where it goes. It'll be fun to watch what happens.
As long as the Rams didn't get rid of Donald,
Oh, that'd be a fool's.
that
wouldn't be
lose
smart.
their mind.
No.
But
Well,
it's interesting. Here, I'll trade your quarterback for my quarterback. Let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens.
It's
Hey,
pretty
there's lots of
interesting.
stuff out there about Kirk Cousins going this way and bringing Deshaun Watson in and blah 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 blah. blah. Oh my gosh, it's just like I don't know. They're saying that if they can get rid of Cousins, that would be a big salary cap help before June 1st. So if he's going to get traded, it's going to be before then. So we'll see if the Vikings pull the trigger. I don't know.
Well, this is kind of the deal. They had a great article in the Minneapolis paper today about the drop back pocket quarterback versus whatever it is those other guys do.
Run around.
The runaround.
Run around.
The runaround quarterback. And what you're going to see this weekend, Tim, is the classic comparison, because there is probably nobody that can run a drop back pocket quarterback better than Tom Brady. He stays in that pocket. He has a very strong, quick arm for short passes. And you're the one that explained to me that fling that he had that went 65 yards was a pretty good fling. And the guy can hit. The guy knows what he's doing back there. If Tampa Bay can give him any protection at all, and of course that's going to be the question, because you've got a pretty good offensive line in Tampa. They've worked hard at it, but there's also a real fine defensive line for Kansas City. So
You know what I've enjoyed most about the Super Bowl so far? The lack of hype. They aren't there. They had to
No.
do virtual media day on Monday.
Yeah,
Everything's
nobody was
nice
there.
and quiet.
It's a football game.
It's just the football game. We don't need all the other whatever. That's the best part about it. I used to turn off ESPN for like the entire week, and geez, the other day I got to turn it on. They were actually talking about other stuff, so that was a win situation. I'll tell you that.
Well, I tell
There's
you, the
just too much
pace.
hype about it. I like the football game. I don't like that everybody expects me to watch the commercials, which I read today somewhere. I don't know where it was. But Budweiser is out of the commercial business for the Super Bowl for the first time in 37 years.
37 years.
I don't really care because usually when I'm watching the Super Bowl, I usually pick up my remote and I turn the channel before I even get into the commercial.
Yeah, but what about when the horses were out in the field and they lined up and one of the horses scored the touchdown, they lined up to kick, and the one cowboy says to the other, "Do they always do this?" And he says, "No, sometimes they go for two." Well, that cracked me up.
But if it's a really good commercial, you're going to get to see it the following week.
Yeah.
I don't. Some people watch it for the commercials.
I don't do that.
Some people watch it for the halftime show. I love halftime because I got 30 minutes to go do whatever. I don't even watch halftime. I just set a timer on my thing and say I'll be back and watch it when it's time. Put on Law and Order or something decent.
Okay.
Who's performing this year? Do you even know?
Yes, I do.
You
as
do.
Long as you asked. Let's just go through this. We're going to start off with Miley Cyrus is going to do the pregame concert, and then we're going to go to Her is going to perform "America the Beautiful."
Who is?
Her.
Who?
Her. Just never mind. Trust me, she's beautiful and she can sing.
Okay.
Eric Church and Jasmine Sullivan are going to do the Star Spangled Banner.
Heard of Eric Church, but not the other one. Okay, keep going.
Amanda Gorman, the poet, is somewhere along the line going to perform.
Okay.
And there's going to be three guys out there flipping the coin. You've got Tremaine Davis, you got Susie Dorner, and you got James Martin. These are all service people that have been providing service during the pandemic, and they're going to get to flip the coin. And then there's Alicia Keys and Tiffany Haddish are doing the after game. Now, the question you had, what's going to
I was going to say, are you avoiding my question?
The guy's called The Weeknd. And so I thought I'd never heard of anybody called The Weeknd before. And so I looked it up, and there was a picture of him, and he's doing a rhythm and blues, kind of a technical rhythm and blues, but not at all offensive. It is very, very good. Tim, you're going to love it. And so and keep in mind, the Super Bowl is an extravaganza. And so when you have a halftime, to have a halftime extravaganza. And that's what this has.
This is a football game, George. That's all it is. Quit giving me all this other crapola. I want to watch the football game, and that's it. Football.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to get you a CD of The Weeknd, and you can enjoy his music then.
This person, this is seriously the halftime show?
Yes.
He used to get like the Stones or whoever at halftime, and now we're going to have something called The Weeknd.
This guy is real popular, just not around here. Yeah, the Stones, and they've had Paul McCartney, and they had all these old people, and old people, they got young people now. It's about as simple as.
I am officially old, George.
No, yeah, hey, I'm going to tell you, you're going to check out Weeknd. You're going to love him. You'll be singing his songs karaoke in a bar before you're dead. Maybe.
If we ever get to go back to a bar ever again. I
happen to just kind of be sneaking in tomorrow. You see, I got my other notes down here. Paige Boker's got 22 points and 10 assists over at UConn, and this is after Arkansas beat them the other night, and there was a good effort on hers. But I'm telling you, UConn does not totally control the deal anymore, and
No, they do not.
even with Page working for him. And so what else did I have about him is um,
I want to give a shout out to NC State while you're finding what you're looking for there, because NC State in women's basketball took down number 2 twice this year already.
Oh yeah.
And they did them both on the road. First time ever it's been done during the regular season. They beat South Carolina, and they beat Louisville the other night. So NC State's ranked number 4 in the nation. That could be interesting, because now you put the Louisville and the South Carolina and Connecticut and the NC State all into the mix. If you're into women's basketball, that's a pretty good Final Four right there.
Yeah, well, actually, it is.
So,
hey, that's okay. You can probably pick out the Final Four of the men's basketball as well.
Oh no, that's going to be a crapper. That's a crapshoot right there. Who knows? You'd be probably just as easy to take 4 darts and throw all 67 teams or whatever they got now up on the wall and turn like this and throw them backwards like this, and you probably have just as much chance.
Well, that's why I always take my picks according to school songs. If they like the song, pick them. Otherwise, dump them.
Gonzaga and Baylor might be 2. I know people out there are probably saying, well, come on, Ring.
They're incredible.
You can't vote against those 2. Only one of those 2 will make it. I don't know which one, but
only one
won't make it.
And I thought, they're
prediction.
both really good teams, the best in the nation. Then I saw Villanova. They're not bad either. And there's
Villanova just doesn't have a big enough sample size. That's the problem there.
Yeah, probably. I want to make one shout out here for Tom Moore.
Tom Moore,
a high school football player from Minnesota, went and played the University of Iowa, and he is at 83. He is the offensive consultant for the Buccaneers. So we got another Minnesota guy in there. We also have, of course, Tyler Johnson and
Antoine.
Some of that Tyler Johnson and Antoine Winfield and Damian Wilson as linebacker for the Chiefs, and a good one. Damian Wilson. Remember him in college? He was 6 foot tall and weighed about 225 pounds, and they'd say, he's I don't know, Big Ten, and just crunching people. He's too small to play. Well, now he's 6 foot and he's 245 pounds. He's not so small anymore. He's just fast. And so he's playing linebacker for that Chiefs. And I'm going to keep an eye on him because, well, you like to keep an eye on the Minnesota boys. Now, Michigan and some of the rest of these, they have 4 people in the Super Bowl, but Minnesota has 3. LSU has 6. They've done well lately.
Where's Alabama at? Alabama probably has 4.
I think they probably have 4 too. Let me see.
What else you got?
I think that kind of does it. I just wanted to get the story of the girls hockey goalie.
Yeah, scary stuff.
Got in a highlight film. Speed it up.
I got a text message. I texted the assistant coach, Kevin Erickson, for an update or a score so I could post it out, because I was actually thinking about going to bed, seriously. And I thought, well, if I text him now, he'll get it before I go to bed, because the Wild had only about 8 minutes left. And when he texted me 10-0, 97 saves. And I'm like, I'm getting ready to put it out on the Facebook, and I'm like, wait, before you do that, you better confirm that. So I sent him a message back. Are you messing with me? Are you sure you typed that right? And it took about 15 minutes. And he sent it back and said, yep. And here comes the score sheet. And it said 97 saves on it. And then, of course, he calls me and he says, is that a school record? And I said, well, yeah, absolutely. That's a school record. And he said, what about a state record? And I'm like, you are going to not let me go to bed, are you? So, of course, I went and looked it up. The record for saves in a regulation game is 118.
118. Isn't that something?
But on the State High School League website, 97 is going to put her in second place. So we will make sure that I will get Mr. Mason who's AD. It has to be done by an AD, and we will submit the paperwork. I will get it filled out for him, and all Bill has to do is sign it, and we'll send it in to make sure that Naomi gets her name on the website forever and ever. Amen.
So what games are you doing this weekend?
Thursday night we're doing Greenway against the Raiders. We're doing that for us up here, but we're also doing it for KMFY. And then I got a week off, man. How do you like that? I got a whole week off. I do a game on the 4th, and I don't do another game until the 11th. What am I gonna do?
Well, I don't know. I read a book anytime I get a chance break. Have you had a no? Okay, no. We'll talk after we shut down. No, I'm all set to go. My wife's had a poke in the arm. I haven't. But I said I'd have a shot another way, but they said that didn't count.
That didn't count?
No.
So you didn't make a prediction. Are you sticking with your prediction from last week, or are you changing your mind? Because we cannot get out of the show without putting our necks out there and saying who's going to win and what the final score is.
Yeah, I guess that I could pick a Tampa Bay, or I could pick Kansas City, but I think
those are your choices. Yes.
I think Kansas City is going to win on a close one. I think they have too much outside speed. Tyree Hill they just have an awful lot of outside speed. And my good friend Antoine Winfield Jr. is going to have his hands filled with these guys. And also, Mr. Kelsey, he has really been playing well right now. And old Gronk said he's the best receiver on the team. He didn't say he was going to be the best receiver on the field, but he says he's the best receiver. But talk about a clutch receiver. He's a clutch everything. And will lead in blocks. No, I really think that there's too much talent over there, and then they mix up Mr. Mahomes. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to win 24-21.
Oh,
I'll tell you what's going to happen.
I was going to say 23-20, so I'm going to stick with that. We're going to have the same margin, but I'm going to go 23-20 because I can't believe that one. Well, it is possible with the 2-point conversion. They can get 2 field goals and get the 8 to make it 21. That's possible. I'm going to go 23-20. Casey wins them back-to-back.
This is the one prediction I'm absolutely going to make. At Super Bowl, I think it was Super Bowl 7. I don't know. I think Miami and Minnesota was in that one. And Bob Greasy, he threw 8 passes that game. And I just know that's the fewest. He might have even been 6, but it was the fewest passes ever thrown in a Super Bowl. That will not. They won't break that.
They'll have that by the end of the first quarter.
There are going to be lots of passes.
Be lots of passing.
I think it's going to be this game potentially really could be a good time. This could be a classic.
That's why we're not worried about the other crapola, George.
No,
we're worried about the football game because that's going to be what sells this thing.
The greatest of all time versus the greatest of future. So this is everything it should be shacked up to be. I mean, it's going to be a great game.
It is going to be a great game.
I can pick Kansas City. Who am I pulling for? That's another question. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I'd be surprised if this isn't close. So we'll see what happens.
Yes, and it's again like any other game of this caliber. It comes down to oftentimes special teams, and it just who knows? One of those characters could break one loose, and it happens. It happens a lot. So. They're both teams have great coaching. They talk about Bieniemy just not getting a nod for a head coach job, but you got an offensive coordinator like that. I mean, the coach Reed's got a lot of staff there.
He does.
Yes.
Hey, I just want to say, by the way, on my turntable this morning,
yes,
I listened to the Duluth Accordionaires.
Oh,
did you ever hear them in concert?
Well, no, but I've heard of them.
Well, you know, that was back in the 70s, and they would go out and they would travel around, and they actually came to our high school and performed on
Sure.
Sunday. And we bought an album from them and whatever else. So dug that out. That came up when I dug my hand into the pile of albums. That came up, and I'm like, I'm gonna listen to that. So I did.
Oh,
So,
yeah. I
little
play
accordion
album
there,
grab
man.
all the time.
Never hurt anybody. And now I'm going to get my jazz this weekend from somebody called The Weekend or something. At least that's.
Yeah, you won't believe this guy. No, there's some good things out there.
All right, everybody. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Have a good week. Try to stay warm. Keep the car plugged in. If you got it outside, go out and turn it on so it starts up on Monday morning so you can go to work and everything.
Stay safe and have a great Super Sunday.
All right, everybody. Talk to you next week.
Coming.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, folks.